Hello, my little Liebfrau Milches, and welcome to yet another Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine, and believe it or not, it's the end of another week. And what can I tell you that you don't already know? We got news, we got sports news. Some of it is really kind of downright bizarre. And yes, you'll notice it's like, did you actually cave in and go out and get a haircut from a barber? And the answer is no. Rox and I did this together. I did the front, she did the sides and the back. And see, I mean, it's a home haircut. And I'll talk as soon as I share the, I'm going to share the link, the Zoom link in the chat room over in YouTube, so we can at least invite people if they want to be. There you go. If you want to be a panelist on the show, what the hell? We have no standards whatsoever. It was not a Flowbee cut because I didn't attach it directly to the vacuum cleaner. Jeez, oh, weezo. I mean, have people remember these shit products, you know? Amsterdam says he'll pop in. That's good. The more the merrier. We enjoy it here on Moohead Radio. The first thing I wanted to say is fuck everybody who says, going to the barber, it's an essential business. You know, here's two of my best friends. They want to say hello to you, okay? Matter of fact, they want to get closer. They really want to get closer to you. They do. You know, you don't have to go to a barber. There's so many non-essential things. Now, to a barber, I understand it's important that he ply his trade. But I'm saying for people who feel they're older or susceptible, I'm seeing people walking around these neighborhoods and God, I mean, they long, shaggy hair. And it's like, dude, you know, it doesn't cost very much. Now, I was fortunate because Rox found a pair of clippers that she brought over in her car from Oklahoma. I'm not sure what they were doing there. I think she was, you know, thinking she was going to have to drive the car and fend people off. Be like a self-defense. But really, $50, you can get a simple Remington home haircut thing. And I mean, that's less than the price of 3 haircuts, folks. I mean, and you can do it at home. How soft has this country become? We can't even cut our own hair. What fucking good are we? Jeez, it's just really disappointing. I also wanted to share my screen because I like to keep everybody up to date as far as what's happening in the not so wonderful world of COVID. And so I'm going to do that right now because it is my meaning for living. Okay, and it's going to allow me, and I'll optimize this once the delay is, and then I'll throw this up. All right. Is that readily readable?
Not yet. It's a little blurry. It takes a minute for it to clear up.
Okay.
Now, okay, I can read it now.
All right, good. This is state of Florida, all right? You're wondering, you know, and I'll go ahead and outline it over here. This is the new cases of residents, okay? And I'm highlighting this, you know, by day. And if you're seeing a great improvement in this that you justify running around and doing anything you pretty well want to and going out to eat and doing all that, that's all fine and dandy. You're going to be heartened by the resident deaths, by the date of death, and you're saying, well, you know, it could be worse, but yes, people are still dying. But the thing that really throws me, and I'm going to have to stop sharing this screen because I want to share another screen with y'all, is the testing is, this is really a lame-o, and I'm really making this bigger for everybody so that they can see it. And here we go. All right. These are the cases confirmed in Florida for Florida residents in the per day for the last 2 weeks. All right. And you're saying, well, maybe it's heading in the right direction. But what I'm showing you below is the number of people tested per day. And it's not fucking good enough. And as a matter of fact, I can point out here that these last several days has been less, equal to or less than what we had in the previous week. And this is what throws our numbers off right here, which is, I'm highlighting this down here at the bottom part of the screen. These numbers here and the number of people tested per day. We're just not testing enough people to be able to come to a conclusion. If everybody wants to go out and do what they want to do in Michigan, I don't have your Michigan numbers, but you want to sue the governor. That's all well and good. You just keep right on and doing the things that you do. I'm going to bring Amsterdam in here because for some godforsaken reason, he wants to be here. Let's see. I'm sorry that this has a delay on it, but there's so many people who are utilizing Zoom, and this will bring Amsterdam in.
There he is. But
I just wanted to point out that, it's really early, very early on the curve, and regardless of how much you want, 25% occupancy is what they're telling people to put into restaurants here, and nobody's going to make any money with 25% capacity in a restaurant. It's all political pandering, folks. I mean, nobody wants to lose the election, so they're doing what they feel they have to do, and in order to appease people to get their vote. But it's not enough to help business people. It's not enough to help anyone, but it's enough to do is to get more people sick. This is a choice you have to make. And it's swallow the bitter pill today, or potentially swallow a more bitter pill and way down the road. So I wish we had leaders that made decisions predicated on something other than re-election, but so it is. And it is an unfortunate thing when the basis of our, what companies are in essence trying to create the vaccine, which we're hoping will at some point, come down. We had 3 companies basically, all right? And the first 2 companies, one was Sanofi, who, the vaccine wing of Sanofi, which is a big national pharmaceutical company. John Shiver, who is the head of research and development, said perhaps a vaccine for the public in as few as several years, but have a product ready for testing clinic in a year's time. Trump was totally uninterested, all right? This was shown on C-SPAN. Next was Lenny Schleifer, who is the founder and CEO of Regeneron. He says, we're going to conduct clinical trials this summer, and we're going to pump out 200,000 doses per month of its therapeutic vaccine from the factory starting in August if all goes well. He leaned over the table, Trump did, and interrupted this pitch. So that process would be faster than Sanofi's, he said, pointing at Shiver. It would be, Schleifer said. All right. Then the third one came up, and that's Stefan Bancel of Moderna Incorporated. And he said he's proud to be working with the government and to have already sent in only 42 days from the sequence of the virus, our vaccine, to Dr. Fauci's team at the National Institute of Health. He went on to say that he needed just a few months to start phase 2 of a 3-part clinical trial. Trump seemed to tune out everything but the talk of time. So you're talking over the next few months, you think you could have a vaccine. Correct, Bancel said. Fauci was forced to interject for Trump's benefit. You won't have a vaccine, Mr. President. You'll have a vaccine that'll go into testing. The fact of the matter is Trump seems only interested in it happening while he is still president of the United States, because if there is not a vaccine, he could actually lose to a senile man. Kind of a scary thought for America but what kind of a choice is there? So we're a long ways away from a vaccine on this, and it is a frightening thing. So if you didn't hear the news, the NBA has postponed the draft lottery and the draft combine. Regardless, LeBron James claims that any talk of ownership canceling this season is horse pucky. But, you know, LeBron, you were the guy who said you wouldn't play in front of no fans. And now the NBA is saying, oh, we might cancel the season because we're already postponing the draft lottery and the draft combine. And LeBron's probably going to lose a year, and he's not happy about it. But could we just do what's in the best interest of everybody, please, and not worry about one player's 1 year? Or else we start sounding too much like Michael Jordan. Oh, there's so much more going on. I don't really want to talk too much more about the coronavirus, except what they're saying is the coronavirus, with the vanishing of sports and televised sports and live action sports, is going to cost at least $12 billion. And I hope, you know, Bob Kraft gets hit with all of it, just right under the bus. Get rid of him once and for all. So that's really what I have. And that's it, everybody. No.
That's all, folks.
That's all you get. There is more news. For one thing, Rashard Higgins is back, and I wanted to ask everybody who is participating how exciting this is for Cleveland fans that we get one more look at Rashard Higgins before he's cut. Let's start with Browns jersey-laden rocks. Rashard was in the doghouse with Freddie Kitchens, and they signed him to a $911,000 one-year deal. Do you think that they believe that Rashard Higgins is going to help the team rocks, or are they doing it just to show that they're more open-minded, perhaps, than the previous regime?
Well, I'm going to be optimistic here. I think that they are betting that he really has a chance. So I'm excited to see him return, and hopefully he'll do good things this season.
Yeah, he was good 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden, you know, the thing is that we had discussed earlier, and Rick, you're next. We discussed earlier that the third wide receiver is not exactly going to be the featured receiver in this offense. Do you think that the Browns just took a look at from an analytical perspective and said, well, this is the best guy we're going to get for $911,000?
They probably looked at it as a bargain, and you know, they just wanted to see with their own eyes what he's capable of being, instead of just, you know, thinking that he was in Freddie Kitchens' doghouse. Now, you know, if they wanted to really be cruel, they could, you know, watch him perform and then, you know, halfway through the fall trade him to the Giants, where Kitchens is a coach, and watch the fun ensue. But I think they want to at least give him an honest shot at trying to make the team as a third downs receiver, or you know, maybe something with special teams, whatever. At least give him a flat out honest chance, and then make the judgment based on what they saw, not by what Freddie Kitchens or previous coaches saw last year.
Yeah, you know, what I wonder is it the slot for him, and is he going to be going up directly against Peoples-Jones? Pat, welcome back to the program. And I see that you're drinking heavily. It looks like the Illuminati has gotten to you.
He's one of us now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Once again, actually, I think the best thing about re-signing Higgins is, now this is going off Twitter, which is a fountain of accurate knowledge.
Yes.
That I believe that marks the first time since 1999 that the Browns have re-signed a wide receiver that they have drafted.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting because technically they did, because he did expire, you know. I don't mean it. No.
If someone wants to fact check me, or fact check the person that I saw on Twitter, then go for it. But if that's the case, then that's sad beyond all belief, number one. But But no, I'm happy that he's back for that year. Like you've been saying, I don't think this offense is going to, feature a ton of wide receivers. If anything, it's just more depth because behind Higgins, I mean, we are looking at a bunch of basically scrap heaps with now.
Right now, a 6th-round draft pick is what we're
Right.
talking about,
which he has a lot of promise. And there was discussions of him being a 1st or 2nd round pick.
But they're saying that Peoples-Jones that's his. What is his full name?
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Donovan. All right, I'll remember that because
which people have been now saying, and now he's our DPJ to our OPJ. So we're going to be referring to 2/3 of our wide receiver cores by acronyms.
Yeah. All right.
By the end of the season, they'll be SOBs.
Yeah. But seriously, I've heard that the Peoples-Jones, even though he runs a straight line 4.48 at the combine, that they don't feel that he gets in and out of his routes very quickly. And they were really looking at him as a slot because of his size. If that's the case, then he and Higgins would be going literally mano a mano for a roster spot, because I highly doubt, unless there's something about Peoples-Jones I don't know, that either of these men are going to be helpful in special teams, which would be the only other way they would latch on. So you got to have some extra receivers, I know, but I hate to say it, but a guy like Ratley might actually have, more versatility for the roster spot taken up than either of the other two guys. Amsterdam, you think we're going to see Higgins play, or do you think he's going to be cut in the whenever the preseason is?
I think they'll probably keep him. I think Andrew Berry was around when they brought him in the first time. I think they're probably going to use him as a measuring stick because Baker has such a comfort level with him that if Baker sucks this year, they have given him every opportunity to succeed. And if he sucks, then they cut bait. And he's cheap.
Well, so are a lot of Jewish people, but we didn't sign them for $911,000. I'm allowed to say that, folks. All right, I'm allowed to be thoroughly insensitive.
Okay, so you can snatch a matzo ball quicker than he can at football, but other than
that is correct. I mean, we're talking about my people here.
You were professional at Lewin Highs.
What a reference! What a reference! Let me think. Lewin Highs. We're going all west, Fairlawn. Am I right?
Almost to Fairlawn, West Akron, on Market Street.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Lewin Highs was the deli when I was growing up.
The best.
You go up to Summit County to get any kind of a deli sandwich because they're, Then later on, what was the one up in Beechwood? There was a big Jewish delicatessen up in Beechwood.
Everything in Beechwood is Jewish.
Yeah, well, but there was
I was
one
just
that
about
was
to
famous.
say.
Beechwood is the Boca Raton of Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, there was one up there. This is when I was younger, though. I mean, but is Lewin High still even open?
No, he. I can't remember. The one son went to high school with me, but he died 2 or 3 years ago. He was old as hell.
So was he Lou or High? Or both?
High.
That may have played a part. I don't know.
No respect for the dead at all. None.
Well, that's the only reason Ames went there, because he was
That's
high.
right. That's right.
Yeah, he knew where it was. All right, Jake. Rashard Higgins, is he going to play? What's the story here?
I think with this offense, there's a very specific, 2 or 3 routes you have to see how these two guys will run, because this is a big RPO offense where you get the ball to the slot guy in a short spatial area and just let him make a play. So they really want to see who's better after the catch on short routes. So, I mean, you're not going to find a great slot receiver in free agency that you want to pay. So might as well bring somebody back who at least has been there. I mean, his discipline issues, if they're real, can't be that bad if they're brought him back. So I trust he wasn't as much of a in the doghouse player and getting into trouble as was stated last year. So I hope the Browns did their homework and decided, yeah, the trouble he had was because of Kitchens, not because he's a diva. So
Hi to Kawaki, by the way, in the chat room. Daktar, I know you want me to follow in the chat room more often, but as long as you're posting here, why should I? And hi, KB and Corpus, aka Doggy Bones. How are you? So just to let people know that I am checking out the chat room when I have the opportunity. Brian, anything you feel about Rashard Higgins before we move on to the next subject?
I think he does have a chance to actually make the team. No, I don't believe that the receiver core will be as deep as it has been because they're going to carry probably 4 tight ends for the majority of the year. I don't know how many will actually be of the 46 will actually be on the sideline, but I fully anticipate them keeping at least four tight ends. So the receiving room will probably not be as deep as previous years. So Peoples-Jones is basically going to be the Gerald McNeil of this team, where he's primarily going to be the returner, and then occasionally he's going to make the field and hopefully hang on to the football when it's thrown his direction.
Well, the next thing is this Instagram that was put up. I don't know. Myles Garrett is showing that he could do a 60-inch vertical jump from a standstill position. I mean, it is impressive. Have you guys seen this?
No.
All right. Let's
go gadget legs.
Let's see if I can actually share this. That
now
might
you're going to
be.
get this started, Moo. Everyone's going to start posting stupid pictures for the next 30 minutes.
No, if that happens, they'll be thrown out because we don't have time for that kind of silliness. I'm trying to use a function here, you know? It's kind of like
function. What's your function?
Yeah, it's kind of like your penis, Amsterdam. You're trying to use it for something, and you're still trying to figure out exactly how it works or if it works. All right, let's see what we have here. Okay,
I guess my second wife would agree with that.
Second wife? What happened to the first one?
Shh.
Okay.
One of these is not like the other.
Hey, let's see what. All right. And I'm going to see if I can. All right. Now, is that large enough for everyone to see?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the length of the screen, yeah.
All right.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what from a standstill, that's what it looks like. What I'm more curious about is he going to be able to hold his gap in essence and do his job without going rogue? I don't give a shit how high he can jump or how fast he can run. I want to see whether he has the discipline to actually play within a system. This guy is probably singularly the cornerstone of what we're trying to build a defense around. And, you know, we've got Olivier Vernon, who, if he stays healthy for any length of time, can put some pressure on a quarterback. But realistically, we don't have any other pass rushers. And we'll go the other way, and we'll start with Brian. Do you see Myles Garrett ever really being more than just a freakish, you know, great physical specimen, slightly underachieving guy?
I don't know, because the actual play on the field versus the expectation it's never going to match. It rarely matches up. So, you know, if you're going to have, let's say, when Pittsburgh grabbed Kevin Green at the end of his career, did they really think he was going to do more than just pass rush? So, yeah, he went out and got 14 sacks or whatever, but he wasn't effective on running plays like he was in his early days with the Rams. So I don't know. What do we expect him to do?
Well,
as far as numbers, what do you guys expect him to do? 13, 14, 15 sacks per annum?
Jake, what do you expect from him?
If he averages 13 sacks a year for the next 6 years, that'd be an amazing draft pick for the Browns. But he's obviously never going to live. He can't live to that spot. It's impossible. Mahomes is the number 1 pick in that draft. Watson's a better player than he is, has more impact. So he's a number 1 pick in the draft, and he cannot live up to it. But if he gets 13 sacks a year on average for a 10-year career, yeah, I mean, that's a great career. That's a great draft pick. That's all.
What about stopping the run though? And the number of penalties incurred by trying to guess snap counts.
That's a big problem. If he fixes that up and is not a run stopper, he's still getting you 13 sacks a year as an edge rusher, which is a great number 1 pick. I mean, he can't live up to it. I mean, he's not going to be Mahomes. The Browns lost that draft for sure. I mean, that's obvious right now.
Wasn't most of those issues with like those false start penalties under Greg Williams and his defense? And because I seem to remember like that was like the ongoing issue for him that year. And again, it might've just been mentality. And then just the fact that, you want to get off the ball, get off the snap as quick as possible, off the ball snap. And then, how many false start penalties did they have, that year? So
it's more than that though, Pat. The thing that concerns me more than anything else is there were signs of it last year where he was just kind of doing his own thing. And you could see that he was going rogue against what the design of the defense is. He cannot be the man on every single down. He's got to start eating some shit so that somebody else could try to make a play. He was playing like somebody who believed that nobody else next to him could make a play. That's what it looked like. And I don't think that's going to help us. Hi, Bronk. How you doing?
I think part of that was also being fed to him by not only media, but also by the coaching staff.
Yeah, I just looked it up here. If he gets 100 sacks in his career, he will have the 24th sacks, or be on 24th on the all-time sacks list. That's for sure a Hall of Famer, and that's an all-time great player. So for his generation. So yeah, I mean, if he gets 100 sacks, I think you get your value out of him. It's just he's with really good players who are quarterbacks ahead of him in the draft that are going to really outshine him. I just think if he gets 100 sacks, it's a great career. You can't complain. It's just going to be who he is.
I want to open this up to the entire group, and you guys can kind of take turns just discussing this. Jedrick Wills, the Browns' first-round pick, number 10 pick overall, had permission from Joe Thomas to wear his number, but Stefanski said no. You are not going to wear 73. Then he was considering, interestingly, 68 when they asked him why. He said it's one short of 69, and like everything else, the fans will, we'll just owe the fans one more thing.
Make it stop.
Yeah, I know.
Stop. Can I make sorry, can I interrupt you for a minute to make a comment about Myles Garrett, which we were
I think you just did. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll do that anyway. I'll do a Brian here and interrupt. Myles Garrett has been so mishandled by all of the coaching staffs at this fucking team that we have had. Fucking Greg Williams mishandled him. And last year, what was he like? Treated like a superstar. You could do whatever the fucking want, whatever he fucking want, whenever he fucking wanted to. How many times can I say fucking a sentence in relation to Myles Garrett? He needs to be reined in just that little bit so that he's a team player and not playing for Myles fucking Garrett. So
And I think
You
you
know?
bring up a good point that some of what the player becomes is the way he's handled. And, you know,
Well, that's what
there needs to
coaching
be
is.
more of a Belichick touch here,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
like you're not anything that special. The
I mean, if
Jedrick,
he was drafted on a decent team with decent coaching staff, like a Belichick or something, maybe he would have had 20 sacks and be this Aaron Donald NFL Defensive Player of the Year guy, because he's obviously got that athletic ability. You saw it with the jump, you saw it with his moves, you saw it with everything. He's been just so wrongly mishandled here that it's disgusting.
so what do you feel?
I guess they need to go out and hire themselves a Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder. A trained fucking monkey can do your job. Now go have fun.
Out of college, that was an issue for him, right? They said he does not like playing the run. He kind of avoids contact and playing the run. He does not like that physical play. And they knew that, so you drafted him knowing that. It's not like you should be surprised that he's number 1 overall pick. He gets paid. Why would he go in and take a hit playing the run if he's getting paid like a top-end superstar without doing it?
Well, he kept on going wider and wider on the defensive line just to avoid even being in on the run. Look how far he fucking lines up on the line. He was allowed to line up. He's like the Jabril Peppers of the fucking defensive line. He was so far away from the center.
I mean, Stefanski, it's interesting in the early going. He seems to be putting his foot down. He made a comment the other day about Baker Mayfield, referring to him. Oh, you mean the fat fuck from Oklahoma? No. What he actually said was that we're going to keep our thumb on him. That was, and the comment was,
sure.
More in terms of we're going to make sure that we're keeping him, within a system here. And now the Jedrick Wills thing, where Joe Thomas says, sure, you can wear 73. And when Jedrick said, okay, I've decided to choose 71, and they went to Stefanski said, whatever, I just know it's not 73. He was not going to let that happen. Do you think this is an early sign that maybe we finally have a head coach who's going to stand up to the players? Let's start with Jake.
I think Stefanski is doing him a favor by saying, no, we don't want that pressure on you. You're what? He's the youngest guy in the draft, right? He just turned 20.
Correct.
Yeah,
so, you don't want that pressure to be a all-time great, maybe a top 3 left tackle of all time replacement at position and number soon after retirement. I think he's doing him a favor.
Well, the pressure's still going to be there.
You're not ready for this. I know you want to do this. You're not ready. Trust me.
Unfortunately, the pressure's still going to be there regardless, because, hey, this is our left tackle of the future. So what is everyone going to think of it?
Or asking is kind of like, dude, don't let that get out.
True.
Because if you have a bad year, people are going to rip you apart the entire year.
Well, not only that, but the pressure is already there anyway, because he's a guy who was playing on the right side who's being moved to the left side. If the guy does not play well on the left side, then the people are going to say, well, why in the hell were you drafting somebody out of position? Why do we keep doing that? So there are other reasons to believe that there's going to be pressure on this player. Rox, do you think that the head coach is finally putting his hoof down?
It sounds like it. I do think that he's doing him a favor by not putting that pressure, and good for him for being able to stand up and say, I don't think that's the right thing, and not falling for any pressure himself. So,
and Amsterdam?
Ivy League smart thinking. Just take it out of his hand. I can't believe, he seems like a smart kid. I don't really see him, wanting 73. He played with 74, so get that fucking number from Hubbard. He's a bum.
Yeah. All right, Pat.
What specifically?
No, I think, okay. All right. We have a new Tony the Calf. What?
I'll cash it a bomb.
That was a Vinny Barbarino. Whoa.
I already said my piece.
Okay. That's all you have to say. All right, Rick, anything that you want to add to the Stefanski putting his hoof down?
I think maybe Stefanski's trying to show the fans that he is aware of Brown's history, and he knows what, in the past year, what number 73 means to Cleveland Browns fans. They associate that with Joe Thomas. He doesn't want Wills to try and be right. He doesn't want Wills to be the, don't try to be the next Joe Thomas. Just be the best Jedrick Wills that you can be with your own number.
I also think that they're going to end up retiring number 73 at some point.
Yeah, Ring of
Of
Honor.
course. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
to have a current player then have to switch, then it becomes a bigger deal. So he's trying to
I think they're just going to ease that number out of the whole.
take that out of
Rolodex.
the entire.
They'll have the big ceremony of his number and Phil Dawson. They'll be done with it.
We've been talking about football. Now basketball is suspended now, and Major League Baseball as well can't figure out a plan on what they want to do. But one thing that we do know is what we got for Corey Kluber became a whole hell of a lot less today, as Indians' right hand 100-mile-an-hour thrower turns out to be the Tony Mandarich of the minor leagues. He has been suspended for 80 games after testing positive for a PED, the very same PED that Almonte, remember him?
Honest Abe Almonte.
That's exactly right. Same one.
Honest Abe.
And
He's
the
my
name
favorite
of
player on that team.
It's Boldenone, and that's the name of the performance enhancing drug. And
Didn't help Babe much, did it?
well, we had two power arms we were counting on: Emmanuel Clace, the guy who was just suspended for 80 games, and Karinchak, who can throw 100 but has no idea where it's going specifically. And that they were supposed to be the setup men for Brad Hand. Now it's just going to be a bigger hand job. No,
I mean, you would think that these sketchy doctors in Miami and California who make the steroids would catch up to the testing much quicker than this. I mean, forever they just are one step ahead of the testing. It seems like testing's caught up because these players are using stuff pretty confidently and getting busted by it.
I mean, 80 games, that's the season. It's gone.
Season's gone anyway.
We got Clace as the main guy, and then Delino DeShields Jr. from Texas, and DeShields is just another non-power hitting, nobody gives a shit about him outfielder. So help me God, if Kluber's got even one more good year left at him, we got ass rate. There's your reference. I know, Bronx.
Ass rate reference. I feel happy.
He like him some of that. In all seriousness,
everybody's
you imagine getting Delino DeShields Jr. from Texas in exchange for Corey Kluber? That's probably a gamble, even though I think Kluber's really on the downside of his career. That's still a gamble that I would have taken because DeShields ain't going to play anywhere in the big leagues anyway.
And
so
Kluber is extending his career too.
Go ahead.
Kluber's going to extend his career Kluber will extend that career by 2 years playing in that dome. I really believe that. It's much easier. Verlander did too. You warm up quicker. It's warmer year round. You don't have to deal with any type of wind or fatigue from the weather. I think Kluber's career can last an extra 2 seasons inside.
Bronk?
I think Kluber's absolutely done. I think we're lucky to get Shelly Duncan for him. So
Jelly Duncan.
Jelly Duncan, you know. Well, you know
that this is what I end up getting. I have star baseball players, and I end up with Jelly Duncan. And Jelly Duncan, he loses balls in the sun. He runs like Bigfoot.
Anybody actually miss
You
baseball
move like
season?
a baboon with 2 clubbed feet.
I think Amsterdam doing the Nick Swisher at first base, looking for the ball and letting it fall fast behind him.
Bro, where'd it go?
But what a blow!
My bad, dude. He just says to the pitcher, like the pitcher's screaming at him. It's like, my bad. Nick Swisher takes it as a joke. Like, double extra run. Hey, thanks, Nick.
Clace
better than Johnny Damon in left field throwing 30 feet.
Clace was trying to heal up from a teres major, which is a side muscle injury, and it's possible that he was taking that to try to promote healing and strength in his right shoulder. But
healing and strength.
We'll never know.
Another baseball topic. You guys see Manny? He's coming back to the Chinese baseball league at
48. 48
years
years old. Yeah.
He might be in the same program as all these players getting busted.
But yeah, you know what's interesting? His agent told it was the Taiwanese baseball league, which is crazy to begin with. Yeah, his agent told him that he's not a designated hitter. He wants to play the outfield. Some things never change, It's like it was a joke, folks. He's. I don't know.
Julio Franco during all this while this is going on?
I think he passed away, or else he'd still be playing
away.
somewhere. Yeah.
Probably at risk to COVID, really. He's that old.
What, 206 now?
Yeah, might be.
Yeah, I mean, well, the last time that Ramirez played, he hit it was like over 300.
Yeah, he did.
In the last place, wherever it was he played. I think it was in Antarctica.
He was with the Dodgers, I think, was the last time.
He snuck to Williamsport one year and was hitting like 500 footers against 12-year-olds with a metal bat.
T-ball?
That Little League World Series was a fun one. He had like 85 home runs in 6 games.
Actually, I think that he played. What is the league that is the independent league? That's where he played. He played one season in the independent league and hit like 320 or something like that. So that's like the last vestige of hope for players or people who are just clowning around like Ramirez is.
That's right above Moose Lodge.
I just
yeah, but Satchel Paige played till he was roughly 60. I mean, to be fair.
It's true.
Well, Manny could be 60.
Yeah, I mean,
Fausto Carmona could be 60.
His career aged like it.
God, that's the name that came and went real quick.
What was his
In
actual
more ways
name?
than one.
What was his actual name? I feel like that's pretty sad we don't know what it is. Rodriguez or something?
Yeah.
Oh,
Male
now you're
prostitute.
guessing.
Well, no, he tried to come back using his regular name, and but it didn't change the fact that his arm
And
was
a different
dead.
birth certificate.
What a strange story that was. Next story has to be read a certain way, so we'll bring in Mr. Greenville, South Carolina. NASCAR has announced plans to resume its season starting on May 17th, right in my home state of South Carolina at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Brad Norman of NASCAR.com, which is kind of foolish because nobody goes online for NASCAR because we can't read. The organization's sanctioning body announced it would hold 7 races in an 11-day period, starting with the May 17th event. The 400-mile race coming up first will be held without fans in the stands. There will be people, but they don't have any fans because it's going to be very hot outside. So it's going to be very, I think that's how I'm reading this. I don't know if that's exactly what they mean. It will mark NASCAR's first official event since the Fan Shield 400, the Phoenix Raceway on March the 8th. So it's been a while. It's good to have the accidents back. All we need is the beer and the people and the COVID, and we'll be complete. I mean, what is the deal? So we can watch at home. The car's going.
Oh, look, he's making another left turn. Oh, look, he's making another left turn.
I know what Bronk wants to hear now. He wants to hear Jackie Stewart, right?
Go for it. No,
All I ever heard, it's like, round and round the track they go. It's like, yeah, that's what they do. They go around and around and around. Thank you for the color commentary. And then Chris Economaki in the pits.
oh my God.
It's
Wow.
like, yeah,
That's
now we
amazing.
go to Chris Economaki in the pits. And it's like, oh, God, my life sucks. God, I'm just in the pits. Somebody just lend me a hand. It got very, very depressing listening to Chris Economaki in the pits. Actually, you couldn't hear him. That was the thing that it was. Yeah. He's literally in the pits, and it's like, I'm gonna. you know, you see his mouth moving.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear what you're
I
saying.
mean,
The
his
last
voice
thing you
was
hear.
sorry.
Back
His
to
voice
you.
was his voice was more annoying than Myron Cope was, but you couldn't hear him. So imagine if Myron Cope yelling at the top of his lungs and you still couldn't hear him. It's unbelievable.
Go ahead, Rick. You wanted to make a Chris Economaki comment.
No, just all the cars at the very end. It says, "Back to you."
Yeah,
Back to you, Chris.
exactly.
Back to you, Chris.
Yeah, the only thing that was more exciting than that for me was watching the Professional Bowlers Tour. And what I loved is how much flair the players had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, Earl Anthony. Now, there was a pillar of excitement, you know, the left-handed
Riviera Lane.
bowler, and it would right in the pocket, another strike, and he would go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The only question.
Deadpan, like he'd been lobotomized. I mean,
Yeah.
and that was, yeah, baby. You know, and and they would always make, you know, Nelson Burton Jr., who was like literally the most boring color announcer in sports history.
How
You know,
boring is he?
oh God. I mean, he would say, wow, what charisma Earl Anthony has. You know, to you, I mean, a fucking plant has charisma.
Fairlawn was the fucking mecca for that, Riviera Lanes.
Oh, the Riviera Lanes, yeah.
I do remember that.
Please,
Wow.
that was the championship there.
Yeah.
Best talent in bowling history was a player
I bowled
cracking
in
a water
legal.
bottle, and the bowler turned around and just told him to F off, screamed at him, and threw a fit, and like tried to quit the game because the guy cracked a water bottle before he went up to bowl.
Are
And it
you
was like-
kidding?
Wow.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
Sounds like something Pete Weber would do.
Oh, Pete Weber. There's another name. How many other bowlers?
Norm
can you
Duke, right?
name?
Was that the other one?
Norm Duke was one. Mark Roth.
Carmen
Mark
Salvino.
No.
Carmen Salvino.
Carmen
Yeah.
Salvino. God damn
The
it.
legend.
Old school.
Yes. Now there's a guy who's 206.
Yeah. Anybody else name any other bowlers?
Oh, Walter Ray Williams Jr.
Walter Ray
I think
Williams?
that's correct.
That's the best one. I know that for a fact. He's like
I thought he was. I wasn't sure if he was a bowler or a serial killer.
both, depending on the day. They only bowl on Sundays, so.
So yeah. I don't know. We digress, but yeah, NASCAR is back in business, and I know that's really exciting. Now, if you haven't been watching The Last Dance,
I haven't.
but of course, what it's done is it's
Don Carter.
re-inflamed the entire thing between Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan, and they're going back and forth, being real assholes. And what that means is, you know, there's more to the argument because, well, could Charles Barkley be far behind? Jordan called Isaiah Thomas an asshole, not just back then, but still is an asshole. And for his part, Isaiah Thomas said the reason he wasn't on the 92 Dream Team was because of Jordan and his people. You know, it's really, and then Isaiah Thomas came back and said, well,
Yeah, it's not the idea that, I don't know, John Stockton was 10 times better than Isaiah Thomas or anything.
No, I mean,
It
but
was
then
all
Isaiah
Michael
Thomas said,
Jordan.
I don't even think that he was in the top 5 for me, Jordan, as far as the top 5, you know?
They're firing up all these old feuds. They even had Elo and Price saying that they never heard anyone say that, you know, they wanted Ron Harper to guard him.
Yeah, you know, I heard that story
Yeah.
too. With Ron Harper shooting his mouth off because he played beside Jordan, and he, for some reason, thought that that made him elite in some way. Well, and if you remember, when we had Harper, Ronnie Harper was a big scorer for Miami of Ohio. That was school I had gone to back in the 70s, or one of them. And you know, he was an offensive player for the Cavaliers. And Elo was reminiscing, saying, you know, I really don't remember, you know, Ron Harper ever wanting to play defense, period, let alone standing up and say, I'll guard Michael Jordan. But I guess Ron Harper, you know, said that it was taken out of his hands because Lenny Wilkins wanted, you know, Craig Elo to cover him. And that's what sealed the fate of the Cavaliers. At any rate, that's just another side story. So who comes into the equation but Charles Barkley, friend of Michael Jordan, who now says LeBron is only the 7th greatest NBA player of all time. See, this is the way that fat fuck Barkley, gambling diseased Barkley, the only happy black man in Arizona Barkley, this is his way of continuing to fillet Michael Jordan from afar.
She won't
And
speak to him in her life, by the way. Jordan does not speak to Barkley in person. They do not like each other. Or Barkley is not on Jordan's good side.
well, nobody's on Jordan's good side. Let's be, there is no good side there. But I mean, to put it in perspective, why LeBron's name came up in this is only because LeBron is the only real threat to being considered in the same breath as Michael Jordan as the greatest player who ever played the game. And Barkley, they all want to defend the time in which they played. And
That's true.
I would urge anybody who's interested, and I see Tony the Calf is trying to get in here at the last minute. I'm gonna let
We
him
bumped
in.
him like the old days. Remember when I used to ring up when he was on the move phone and you can only take one caller and I'd ring up on purpose to bump him off?
Oh yeah, those were the good old days. Oh,
Those
we
were the
got to
good old
unmute you
days.
here, Tony. Wait a minute, you're unmuted now.
I remember
Yeah.
those days.
9 people. Look at that, man. 9 people.
It's like a Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Okay,
A Brady
there's
Bunch thing.
Nipsey Russell is Pat Seagramson, and Betty White can be Amsterdam, and
Wow.
I'll be
Take
Charlie
Paul in
Weaver.
for the block.
Nipsey Russell.
But I mean,
Charlie
Rick
Weaver.
Paul Lynn.
they do show games.
Charles
from the
Nelson
80s.
Riley.
No, I don't do Charles Nelson Riley.
No, you're in
Stop
Wally.
with Charles Nelson.
On my
Riley.
screen, you're in the same square as Wally Cox.
holy God.
Yeah, I'm old enough. I've seen
Hey,
that
that's-
damn show.
Hey, that's better than being Jim J. Bullock.
Ooh, but he's still alive.
Amazingly
Switch.
enough.
Yeah. He's more indestructible than Cher.
What was
I didn't
the
know. Rox told me that I didn't even know that he had HIV, but he
Yeah.
lived without taking the cocktail. He took
Since
the cock.
1985. He was diagnosed in
Wow.
1985.
Yeah, but he took the cock, but not the cocktail.
Well done, Amsterdam.
Roxanne can be Patty Deutsch.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I'll tell you, this is getting a little bit strange, even by my standards. I don't know. But you can watch the NBA games from the 70s and 80s shown on the greatest games ever. And it's like watching a different game, folks. It's a completely.
Yeah. I always
different
wonder
game.
how you can argue Jordan had it tougher when there was no zone defense. So you really couldn't double team him until he dribbled the ball and drove the basket. Jordan really could ISO all game if you just moved the center to the 3-point line. LeBron would dominate that era just as easily because he doesn't have to get double teamed before he can touch the ball or before he dribbles.
Listen to Barkley's top players: Michael Jordan, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, and then LeBron. It's like, oh, please.
Doesn't he love Karl Malone too? He always says he's like the greatest, second greatest scorer of all time or third greatest scorer of all time.
I mean, look, Bill Russell was a wonderful basketball player. He played for a team that was a dynasty. He had all kinds of help around him. He was undersized for a center. He was a good defensive player in his time. He was not an offensive threat. He can't be it. Oscar Robertson was
10,
a great
10 championships as a player, though.
What's it, 11 or 10?
11.
But in those
11 and
days,
13
there
years.
was no free agency, man.
Well,
They
but the
just
11th
kept the
one, he
fucking
was-
players together. They couldn't lose.
I thought the 11th one, he was the coach.
Yeah, I thought he played a little bit too, though.
Yeah,
Player
that
coach.
that was a 2-league era. That was a 2-team era. That was Boston, Lakers,
And
all
Lakers.
Hall of Famers playing each other. Granted, they did play a team with like 4 Hall of Famers themselves. So they
And I'm
did
not- I'm
beat a
not-
great team. But
I'm not belittling Bill Russell, but I'm just saying at the time they had a team that was so well assembled and played together for so long. I mean, the teams today, I mean, look at the Golden State Warriors. I mean, oh, they're a dynasty. Oops, no, they're not. You know, it's like, what happened?
They just make money, so they leave.
And I don't think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played forever, but no, I'm sorry. Wilt Chamberlain, he didn't win except one championship. And a lot of that was not his fault. He was traded to teams where he was kind of like Andre the Giant. He was the draw who brought fans in.
He only put up 99 points a game, 600 rebounds.
Hey, Chamberlain was dominant in his time, but again, if Wilt had to go one-on-one with Shaq, you'd probably have a standoff, don't you think? Well, I mean, and nobody's talking about Shaq as being one of the greatest players of all time. You know, and Kobe
maybe in
Bryant,
terms of blowjobs.
yeah, but, you know, he does, and I don't think Kobe would need Charles Barkley to blow him up because he already did earlier this year. Okay, too soon. But you know, anybody who's sensible will tell you that Michael Jordan and LeBron James are going to be the two it's going to come down to. And you feel kind of bad in one respect if you're a Cleveland fan, because Jordan got on a roll and he had some good teammates. And, you know, LeBron had to come back a second time to Cleveland to somehow win a championship against all odds. So we'll always say that he did the impossible by actually winning the first Cleveland team in 52 years to win a championship. So, but to put him seventh, I mean, you know, what kind of nonsense is that?
It's nonsense. I mean, LeBron, he's the best player currently, second of all time. I'm not so sure he could have survived against the Pistons in the 80s, but then again, Jordan wouldn't be as good in today's game, so it's kind of a wash.
Yeah, I think that.
I think LeBron would be crippled and, you know, maybe paralyzed by 30 if you had to go up against the Pistons.
Yeah, especially if Kenny Maurer was still officiating.
Yeah, Sally.
The Charlie Weaver now that I see on the screens.
Drive to the lane and Rick Mahorn punch him in the fucking throat. Yeah, LeBron would. Oof.
LeBron outweighs them now, dude. He'd fucking kill them. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
if you posted him up, put him as a 4 and let him down there and fucking bang people, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's
he'd destroy him.
It was funny. I was watching it was a Cavaliers game that was being broadcast, rebroadcast on NBA TV, and it was I want to say 2-2 in a series against the Pacers.
Desmond Tutu?
And it was probably the championship season or the year before, and it was a must-win in Cleveland to go up, you know, and get that third win. And it came down to the final possessions of the game, and Oladipo, who was playing lights out against Cleveland, I mean, just killing it, went one-on-one to the basket with LeBron James, and he blocked that layup the same way he blocked, you know, Iguodala in the championship series. But to beat that, he gets the ball at the buzzer and drains the shot from the top of the key to win the game. So, I mean, we have a lot of memories. They have a lot of memories. I'll never get it straight whether Jordan or LeBron is the greatest. I just get sick and tired of people defending the time in which they played. It's not, you know, to me, the two greatest heavyweights who ever lived were Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis. That's the deal. That's the deal. And it's a historical thing. Joe Louis held the title so long that during his generation, he was the only champion they ever knew. He held it for so damn long. It was incredible. I'm thinking, I should know this, 1936 all the way to 1949. So that's 13 years. Who holds a heavyweight title for 13 years? I mean, that's nuts when we have all the alphabet soup organizations we have now. He was an undisputed champion. The only thing that really tainted his record may have been the last win they gave him against Jersey Joe Walcott that he did not rightfully earn until, well, he did end up getting a rematch and ended up knocking him out anyway. But still, he got old, as as all fighters do. But you don't find people who have the types of careers that LeBron James have going, where he is as effective as he is. And now look at how many years he's into his career. What is he, 15 now? Years in?
17.
Yeah, I think he started, what,
He was drafted 03.
2003,
you're right. It'll be 17.
17 years. 35, I think he is.
And I don't think it's almost impossible to think of somebody who would be that prolific physically still that many minutes into their career. And he just didn't play games. He played deep into the playoffs. He's played a ton of minutes.
Plus, he also was on Olympic teams as well.
Yeah.
Well, he played in a time where there isn't a whole lot of downtime. And it's just as a sheer physical specimen and somebody who, works out intensely. It's amazing, his flexibility. I've seen him twist ankles that would have taken everybody off the floor, and he would get up and start playing again. I mean, his limbs are so flexible from the yoga work that he's done over the years that he has avoided a lot of injuries, and you have to be so dedicated to do that. So,
Yeah, he'll leave on top. I think he's waiting for one more victory. I don't see him ever going to the bench and coming off the bench. He'll fucking... he starts, and whatever outcome happens in a playoff, he'll tap out.
God, look at these names: Charo, Gucci, David Steinberg.
Wow.
Get off! I'm just trying to do all these.
Ross Henderson.
Glenn Ford. It's like, hey, Vic
There's
Morrow,
Wally
please
Cox
don't
up
beat me
there.
up and don't rape my wife.
And Flug, and yeah.
My God, Wally
Marlon
Cox.
Brando's wingman, Wally Cox, the top left.
Yeah, and you know that Wally Cox committed suicide.
Hey.
He really did. Honestly,
You know Johnny Cox?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a very small, one of the small cocks. Rose Marie, who was Dick Van Dyke Show or this, and it's a good thing she wasn't around for high definition television, or else we could count the pock marks in her face.
Fanny Flag.
Fanny Flag, thank you for that. And Tony Randall in Shades, if that don't beat all.
Yeah, a couple.
I was looking for one that had Barty Allen on it, but I couldn't find a good one.
Now, who was Ross Martin? And
that was a guy from Wild Wild West. I believe.
He was.
Artemis, whatever his name.
He was Artemis before the other guy.
Yeah,
Very
Wild
good.
Wild West.
Very good.
Yeah.
And you got to get up pretty early to get past this panel.
That's pretty awesome. All right. We're done. It's the top of the hour and I got to get out of here. Thanks for the screen share there, Bronk. It was a wonderful trip down memory lane. Thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. I really like the kind of this gallery view when we have more hosts and panelists on the show, because it lets everybody see who's talking. And I think I'm going to use this more as we move forward. I want everybody to stay safe out there. Don't let them talk you into something foolish, all right?
That's another panel.
Where's your local retail?
Oh, I
Jay,
love
it's
it.
your starter for 10.
What was
Next, we're gonna
so-
have Brian show his face. He's the only one of the panel that's hidden. Come on, Troy.
Oh my gosh, I love the name of the file too. As people see that. The CNN news team.
Thank you, Wes Bryant. Thank you. I was hoping somebody would see that. It's up there. Yeah, it's
All
up at
right,
the top
everybody. I
left-hand
gotta get out of here and walk my dog. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again on Monday, I promise. We will see you then. Until next time, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.